Pioneers of Pagonia is currently in early access on Steam and GeForce Now and is being developed by Envision Entertainment and published by them as well. And I want to say a special thank you to them for providing me with the code for me to be able to check the game out, as they are also the people that brought the original Settlers games, which I am also a fan of and used to play a lot of them back in the day. I am very happy to be able to play games similar to that, especially from the original creators, so big thank you to that. Now, what is Pioneers of Pagonia? Pioneers of Pagonia is a real-time strategy game, of course. You basically land on an island, you're a pioneer of course, and you land on an island, you got to build a settlement, you got to find other tribes to be able to trade with and whatnot. There are magical creatures to find and bandits and thieves and that kind of stuff as well. Although combat is not mandatory, you can actually customize it so you can have no enemies on the map whatsoever. The game is just, it's very charming. Like I said, it's currently still in early access. It has been in early access now for about a year and it's running pretty well. I've got to be honest, and it's just recently had a new magic update which I checked out, which is really cool. So there's a lot more like ghosts and werewolves and stuff knocking about. I mean, there were werewolves before anyway, but there's just a lot more awesomeness within the game. Now, the game at its base speed is a little slow. For me personally, I think it takes a little too long for the buildings to be built, but you can speed it up to ×5 so you can get through it as quickly as you want to. It has all the usual things you will find in a city builder. You build a forester hut to get wood, and then you get the carpenter to turn them into wooden planks, and then exactly the same for a stonemason, and then getting them into stone blocks, and then you're able then to just replenish your stuff. Obviously, forage for food and farming. There is a lot more micromanaging in this than there is in other games of the like, which isn't a bad thing, I suppose, but some people may or may not like it all that much because there is like a ton for you to actually be able to micromanage in terms of the production chains and all that kind of stuff. Now, for the maps themselves as well, they are procedurally generated maps for the most part, so sometimes resources can be very generous and other times they can be quite scarce, but at the end of the day, it adds to replayability for like no end of hours if you so choose to be able to do so. Now, is the game worth picking up within its early access? I'd say if you are a fan of the real-time strategy genre, then yes, it's currently rocking at about £25 of its which is its full price in early access, and of course I would imagine that as soon as it comes out in full release, it will probably go up to maybe 35, they may even go 50 quid with it. And if they keep working on it, because they've been updating it and consistently keeping up with the updates, so that's pretty cool. Now, obviously I could go into extreme detail and drag this out for 20 long minutes, but it's a real-time strategy game. You kind of know what you're getting into. I hope you do. I'm not gonna hold your hand and pretend like you don't know what's in these things. You build houses, build taverns, build watch posts, all the usual stuff. So there's no point in me going through all the different mechanics because the mechanics are the same here that they are in other games as well. But what it does have is it just has its own little charm and art style and all that kind of stuff as well. And it's a very chill game. It's not a game for people who want non-stop, absolutely skull blistering action. That's not this kind of game. There is action in there, and sometimes it can be overwhelming if you wind up on a map where you're completely surrounded and you consistently get raided. But besides that, it's a very chill game. It does have 4-player co-op as well, which is pretty cool, so that's pretty wicked. Like I said, there is trade as well, and with the procedural generation, there's just no end of just being able to just create no end of civilizations that you want to. As it stands, there are like over 60 buildings that you can build at the moment, which is pretty cool, and it's just a good game. It is a very good game, and it's definitely one to keep an eye out for, especially as it's hopefully heading towards its full release. And once again, I want to thank the developers for giving me a code for the game. I'm liking what I'm playing. I think, like I said, that they could speed up a little the base game. They could make it a little bit more speedy so that you don't have to have it on fast forward to get extreme progress. Like, I like the idea of having a fast forward in games, but if the base game is that slow that it warrants using it, then I think that needs to be tweaked. But that's just my personal preference. But please let me know down below if you have checked out Pioneers of Pagonia. It's one to keep an eye on and one to try out if you are a real-time strategy fan. 100%. There is plenty here to offer for you, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. But thank you very much for watching.